What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the third album by rapper Logic. Basically, this product is called Everybody, and it came out in the spring of 2017. So the thing about this product here is I've reviewed a previous Logic product as far as this first album. Basically, the particular pitch behind it was, I think it was Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, pitches like that. So it's within the fair. I wanted to start getting into some more Logic products. He has been around since like the early 2010s, fairs like that. He came up on the mixtape scene and kind of had like a dual Logic particularly had like a dual wielded run as far as this person have been half like he had mixtapes that were steady stringingly coming out, and then he also had albums that were coming out between like the early mid 2010s as far as this first gonna happen forward. So it's within pitch as far as saying, particularly this is one of his more notable albums within a pitch. Not to say like he doesn't have other classics, but just within pitch as far as saying this is a particular banner type one because this had one of his highest charting singles. I remember hearing this song, one of the singles off this project, quite a bit on like everyday kind of radio fare within rhythmic radio pitches like that. Particularly Alessia Cara was pretty big around this time, so she was on this particular song, and then Khalid was also on this song as well, who was pretty huge around that time in rhythmic radio. So both those particular two cats being on that song, the Suicide song, which is 1-800-273-8255, just on the pitch, that was particularly a pretty notable type one. Pretty much one of the more banner type ones, like for in terms of the sense behind it, this is the sort of stuff that in terms of the pitch behind it, I think this is a relatively more notable type, in terms of the pitch behind it, this is like a relative kind of more notable rap single out of like the past 10 or so years within the pitch. Not to say full bound compared to everything that's around, but definitely probably one of the more banner type ones. Probably within like the top 35, 55, somewhere in there within the pitch. Not to say like it's that far out, but just the pitch as far as saying it's a banner type song that particularly had like some pretty relatively lengthy kind of popularity within the charts as far as this first gonna happen. When I think of folks that kind of connected around this time, when you think of like Logic in the late 2010s, MGK in the early 2010s, Logic in like the late 2010s, MGK in like the early 2020s, Juice WRLD in like the late 2010s, some of those type fairs within folks like that. It's just kind of pitch to some of those type folks that just particularly had like relative, at least between 2016 and like 2022, some of those type folks that had like some pretty notable type staples within the pitch. So some good type fairs. Now the other two singles not as much, but this is a pretty banner type album, I'd say, within the appeal. I definitely like the noteworthiness about this product now that this album is kind of has some fairs about it. This is kind of like a concept album within the pitch as far as what's first going to happen. It's not just within traditional type format of just getting dance songs and things like that. It carries the theme of like the main character of this particular album going through death and the pitches like that as far as having to come back and have the reincarnation. Some of those type fairs as far as talking about the particular aspect of this going through like the concept of like standard fare with it. Almost felt like it could have been a movie in certain sense. I think Logic is actually putting out a movie within some of the fairs as of like the summer of 2025. So it's just been pitches first, and there's some banner type stuff with that. But it's a pretty excellent type fair to get this vision within these pitches. Just looking within the aspect as far as nailing that particular appeal, getting like an album within that sort of context. It's just the pitch as far as saying it feels like within a relative this feels like within a relative type sense, some sort of religious type album. But I think it's just the after effect of just the theme of just death and pitches like that. So it's just a good forum to be able to get those appeals because despite the fact that this album cover seemingly being bright and pitches like that, it's actually kind of a darker type album just with the pitch that the character actually dies within this album as far as talking about the concept, as far as just paying attention to the atmosphere, as far as just like there's actually a good assortment of downs on this particular album that just deals with the fair as far as like the conduct of what the particular storyline of this album happens to be. So some good type pitches, just nailing that within the theme behind it. It's a pretty compacted type album. It's definitely probably a more notable in terms of commercial rap within the format of some of the stuff that I've seen across like the past several years, at least as far like between like 2016, 2023, some of those type of years within the pitch. Now, I don't know as much 2024, 2025, but within the pitch, some of these past several years is definitely pretty notable within the pitch as far as having some things. But then I've pretty much enjoyed a good assortment of several of these albums just within the pitch. I continue to enjoy these, but it's just within the pitch as far as saying this aspect as far as getting towards it. Just has some banner type appeal as far as just the particularly nailing like a storyline kind of album within the pitch and being able to pull it off in terms of contemporary senses. So you get the songs on here. There are some dance songs on this album as far as what's first going to happen. It particularly carries the stories theme and has some moments for like some step out, has some charting singles, has some radio grabs, pitches like that, has like these pop rap kind of moments, has like some afterthought and kind of glissy type moments. Just the after effect. Now this is not a terribly, like when I say it's a dark type album, it's more like the emotions that it kind of gives and the theme of just like the harrow and the chip on your shoulder as far as like the weight of some of that more so than like the full bound kind of aspect of actually like the dark productions, and this something that's like more typical. Like this is not horrorcore. This is not the sort of stuff that's going to be more gothic and pitches like that. It's actually more within the affluent It's more within the aspect and affluence of actual like pop rap within the pitch, as far as saying that it has some banner commercial type of feel. Like I would say within a certain sense, Logic was kind of more or less one of the more commercial type ones that was just typical of like rhythmic type fashion. When you think of folks around that time that were kind of doing that, like Drake and The Weeknd and some of those type of folks within the format, and folks like that, other folks like Juice WRLD and some of these type of folks within certain extents. This pitch, Juice WRLD and folks like that within those sorts of appeals behind. So it's just kind of the pitch. Logic had a good string of hits for a good while between like the late 2010s to early 2020s. So it's just a pitch as far as saying with some good type pitches here, just be able to get this to some good aspects. So yes, there's 13 songs on this album, but more or less within some of these type moments, there's at least one song on here that's just a particular skit that this is more talking. I think it's called The Waiting Room, pitches like that. So that's just one. That's just a brief talk. That's just part of the storyline to the album as far as it's supposed to have. So it's just spoken word. It's not really like an actual song. So that would narrow it down to 12 songs. Out of those remaining 12 songs, I wound up recommending 10. So there's only 2 I don't recommend, but I'll go ahead and talk about the 3 singles. I recommend all 3 of those. It's just the pitch. This has some banner type appeal, this commercial to like the aspect of it. These songs are not as full bound dark, but it's just kind of the pitch of just carrying like the format of how the album theme kind of carries out. So it's just the pitch of like Everybody in Black, Spider-Man were the songs Everybody in Black, Spider-Man were at least top 60. Everybody was the top 60 single, something like that, and Black Spider-Man was the top 90 single. So it's just within the pitch as far as saying the banner song was the Suicide song as far as those pitches can happen, but it's just within the aspects as far as saying this still has some pretty good chart appeal for like late 2010s. But most of the time the rap singles would just kind of be more on like the rap charts. That's how the fashion behind it would kind of go. But this is commercial, but it's within the sense that the anchor, considering that sales were kind of here and there in the late 2010s, this kind of thing. But yeah, Everybody's like a soulful kind of pop malaise kind of get here. This reminds of like a jivier kind of NF type tune pitches like that. It's a basic kind of brunch time pep. It sounds like a basic kind of brunch time pep, I'd have to say, just some go abouts as far as what's supposed to happen. So there's just some city traffic within some of these type tangents here, just kind of amongst the aspect of just getting towards like the particular fare of it. Just very much this particular song and Black Spider-Man both are just kind of amidst these 2 particular first singles. Everybody and Black Spider-Man are more amidst like city traffic, some of those type fares, just picking up a newspaper and a coffee, some of those type moments, just brunch type traffic, some of those type fares, getting bagels, some of those particular type formats amongst like the particular day shift as to how those aspects would kind of happen. So it's just within the tone as far as saying this kind of city traffic, some of those type moments. Now within that, this is kind of a healthier album. It's not as full bound. I've noticed that there are a few smoking moments on here. I would definitely insert some of these smoking moments just to lighten up and liven up like the proximity of just like the normal healthy type tone. It's not as full bound healthy, but it's just within the pitch. It just doesn't as full bound go completely out of its way to talk. I mean, this does have explicit on here, which this particular product is just not riddled with like usage as far as like getting tore up within pitches like that. So it just has the conic as far as I mean, I think this particular cat, the main character of this album, as far as the fair kind of happens, particularly the main character cat, which I think his name is Adam off this particular product, is just the pitch as far as saying I think within the fashion there's probably some tear up that kind of happens here, but it's just not as full bound within the pitch as far as like where you're gonna have songs to like, all right, it's time to get crunk from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. pitches like that, some of those tones. So it's just one of the pitches for us. But you look within the aspect, just getting towards it. So everybody's a nice kind of day shift fair pitches like that. Once again, this reminds of just like NF, some of those type fairs. It's that same sort of jiviness, just that typical kind of day shift noise, NF and folks like that, kind of just more soulful with an aspect as far as So just basically some of those type formats that NF would have done in like 2015, 2017, same sort of pitch. Just good affable type single. This probably should have charted a lot higher than it did. But yeah, Black Spider-Man's the second single. It's another nice one. Black Spider-Man's like a good city trek kind of fog kind of get here. This feels like Daily Bugle kind of music pitches like that. I mean by like the tone of just like news, talk about newspaper type music where you just would pick up like a brief kind of snack, something like that, go by like a Barnes and Noble, some of those type places within the format of like standard day shifts, and just the traffic like Uber and taxi type noise pitches like that. Good snackage type music just to go on like some gas station runs just within the nearby. It's just kind of more trekking just within the pitch behind it. Just kind of some in between type push. So this is the format. If you are in like the Big Apple, places like that, Manhattan, some of those type places, Boston, Massachusetts, some of those particular type places of that relative fair, Philadelphia, some of these type places within a more type fashion where you can just pick up a newspaper out of a newspaper stand, some of those type formats, go by a Subway and get like a, once again, a coffee, get some Starbucks type fare within pitch. This kind of format is just getting towards that particular traffic. Just some good embrace. Both these singles, both Everybody and Black Spider-Man kind of have like some good embrace of just amidst like the city traffic, just amidst like the standard sirens and taxi cab horns, pitches like that within some of those type fares of it. Good city slicking type music. Pretty much just good snack run music in general, just one of those formats. Just has very liveliness about it that has some good thrills. And the highest charting single off this album is the third single here. This is a top 30 single on the Billboard 100, and that's the 1-800-273-8255, which is the suicide number as far as what's first going to happen. So this particular song is like a vanilla late 2010 staple to kind of get here. Just a notable kind of radio grab, I'd have to say, with an affability behind it. Good day shift. This is like some good day shift dredge, I'd say. Pretty catchy type song. So it's just the pitch. Once again, pretty notable type song with the aspect as far as how Logic kind of got within some of those type of songs. It's a good banner type one. I think the anchor, Logic definitely had some sing-songiness on this particular song. He definitely enhanced the song quite a bit, but I'd also say what bolstered this song probably, I think some additional help that bolstered this song more even. I think some additional stuff that bolstered this project even further was the Alessia Cara and Khalid as far as those first going to happen. It's definitely in the pitch. It's a real good radio jingle with an aspect as far as those first going to happen. It's very vanilla. It's something that you probably would have caught pretty often late 2017, 2018, 2019. Certain sentences kind of in certain senses, it's a song that continues to get airplay today, so it's just within the pitch as far as saying it's one that you can catch kind of on like a jury type sense as a reminder, like late 2010 Stones type fair. So it's a good type pitch for that. Nice hooky and affable type one, and works as like a 3-for-3 type combo within some of those type formats, like the standard day shift kind of dredge and bitches like that. But like I said, a lot of these, at least everybody in Black Spider-Man, I mean, these are at least dreary type songs, but within the pitch, they're not quite as, I feel like the Suicide song, the 1-800 song is a little bit more just within the dredge type aspect. I mean, it just kind of has that particular kind of diss. It's more just like a jarring kind of frustrated type song within the pitch, just that Tibble kind of diss, middle fingers up, and like a just kind of pouting type sense. Not so much like, flipping birds like I was doing. It's not as much ravenously kind of flipping birds and raising hell within pitches behind, but it's just kind of the format as far as saying it's just kind of the product of this kind of more in like a bruised inventing type mode, just in a more makeshift kind of sense. It's just the pitch as far as saying, it's just the product of it, just typical kind of makeshift venting, I'd say. So good type pitch, but yeah. So there's 10 out of 12 songs I recommend off this album, like I was saying. So the only 2 songs I don't recommend is just Africa, Ryan. I'm not as full bunch sure how to pronounce that particular song within pitch, and then Anxiety as far as those pitches gonna go. So just within those pitches, those 2 songs, both of which are really lengthy songs. I feel like there are some songs on this album that have a little bit lengthier of a track list than they probably should be. I like the fact that some of these kind of bleed into like the storyline of the album, but within pitches, some of these type ones just kind of have. Some of these type ones just stretch on a bit longer than probably like the format of it. Both Anxiety and Africa Ryan just kind of had that particular concept. I don't know why Africa Ryan wound up being like a 12-minute song within the pitch. I don't think I would have vibed with that song as full by much. It was just a clumsier type one that just didn't have as much connect with it as far as this first kind of went. And then Anxiety was kind of a nice kind of relative floaty type one. Felt like a more personal kind of ruminate type song, just kind of out and about. Was kind of telling a story with it. It was just kind of the pitch that, I don't know, I think the track record of the length of that particular song is just probably a little bit further than what probably should have happened with this full bound. It's just kind of both of which probably should have been narrowed a little bit within those songs. But just the aspect, these are not horrible songs. I at least could say Anxiety, like a certain extent, could probably be one that has like some manageability within the tone. But the only real true one I didn't connect with this full bound be Africa Rhyme, but I still am not going to recommend Anxiety. It's just it's not a super horrible song, but I just look after it. So 10 out of 12 songs I recommend off this album. Like I said, Waiting Room is just kind of like a talking part that just talks about the concept of the theme of this album as far as what's first going to happen. So it's just within the pitch as far as saying. So 10 out of 12. I'm going to give this album a 9.25 out of 10. Pretty excellent type pitch within the format of it. The social score, we'll get to that. So some of these type of songs on here, America is a real nice one. Now, in terms of like the Tibble type format, if you like the mixtape logic off that, if you missed some of the mixtape logic, some of those type fairs that he would do on like some of those type tangents, America's probably the most gnarled song on here. This is the most vicious type one in terms of like a pop rap type sense, but it does have some good tones, like a gnarled and glitchy kind of stunt tune to kind of get. This Smoke one, I'd have to say. Some good dance heat, I'd say, here within the pitch. Just get loud and kind of turn out pitches like that. It's just a good rile as far as what's going to happen. America's a pretty good posse song within those pitches, as well as Black Thought on there and some other type folks within the pitch. So some good type fairs to be able to get that particular tune. Just a real gnarled type one, just real kind of glitchy. Real like the ferociousness of that particular one. Just probably need another song like this in some sort of fashion on here, but it's a good type fare. Take It Back is a nice one as well. It's like a jarring kind of back and forth to kind of get within the aspects here. Just some paranoia pitches like that. Good personal cut, I'd have to say, within the tones behind it. Just kind of sweating it a bit, pitches like that. But it's a good one to smoke one too, to kind of clear your head as far as what's going to happen. So just in the pitch. Now obviously not when you don't pay as much full bound like to the attention, like the theme of the album is kind of within the pitch of getting some of these type moments as far as saying it's just kind of the format of this. It's just kind of some quick motions going through the tide of just like the standard personal life kind of drama pitches like that, or maybe just like I would definitely say like songs like America and Killing Spree would be 2 type ones for like some turn up within the sense as far as like some step out pitches like that. But I'd probably say Take It Back is just kind of the format of like one of those Eminem type songs where he would kind of bicker some of those type formats when you think of songs like It's like a song similar to like Guilty Conscience, some of those type formats within pitch to some of those particular type fares, and other type ones like Kim and ones like that, and like 97 Bonnie and Clyde, some of those I pitched in the format just kind of contemplate some of those particular appeals. So it's just kind of aspect as far as those particular tones behind it, but just kind of a more frenetic type one. Interesting type pitch just from the format of Logic having a song like this, so some good type appeals. Ink Blot is a quality one. This has Juicy J on here, which is a pretty good pitch. They just recently dropped a collaboration album. It's like a vintage kind of 2000s mixtape soul to kind of get. This reminds like some DJ drama type pitches, I'd say, within the format. Just a good song to roll up some zags to, pitches like that, and just kind of some extra thought there. So it's just when the pitch, just kind of more or less kind of homebound, housebound typeness within the format of it, not as much full-bound exploitedness with going on with what particularly happens, but just the pitch as far as just getting some smoke there, just within the fashion, just that particular aspect behind it. It's kind of typical type blog era type stuff for just like some thought-provokingness, just kind of some spare moments within the pitch. Another song like that is most definitely, I'd say, within the aspect here, it's like a dreary kind of lo-fi vibes kind of get within these aspects. It definitely reminds like Odd Future from like the late 2000s, early 2010s, Mac Miller, some of those type fashions, like when you think of Macadelic and like Blue Slide Park within certain sets. Not quite as frat-ready as Blue Slide Park, not quite as frat-ready as Blue Slide Park within a pitch, but definitely within the same vein within a relative type sense of it. It's just kind of some good type fares, but this like some good neighborhood surfing kind of get within those tones that I'd say. So just kind of smoke type fare, just probably a good combination with like a more dreary type sense to songs like Black Spider-Man and Everybody, some of those type fares. Not so much amidst like the day shifted within the traffic, but definitely within the aspect of like some of that breezy kind of city, just cloudy day type fashion within those pitches. I'd say just good type fashion of it. Neighborhood usuals pitches like that, I'd have to say. Killing Spree's a nice one as well. This is like a catchy kind of pop trap bounce to kind of get here. Just feeling sparky, I'd say, just some commerce energy. I definitely suppose this kind of aspect of being on the go pitches like that, but it's kind of in a mode to have like some turn up pitches like that. It's like good, ready for a venue kind of hop pitches like that. Just some pub crawls pitches like that, some of that surfing. Yeah, but Killing Spree's just a miss like the dance floor pitches like that. It's one of those standard type boss within the pitch. So it's a good type aspect to get this particular song on this album just within the pitch, because most of this is a little bit more commercial bound within pitches like that, a little bit more kind of makeshift contemporary within those aspects, but there are a couple moments within like a trap type sense and a minor mixtape type form within some of those type aspects. So it's good type tone. At least Killing Spree America and Take It Back have those relative type fashions, so good type tones for that. Then Confess and Hallelujah are some nice ones as well. Confess is like a brisk kind of luncheon bounce kind of get here, just a white collar and light lick kind of guacamole and etc. pitches like that. I'd say some appetizers, some hors d'oeuvres, some of those type fashions within it. Just kind of a chatty, kind of glossed out song pitches like that. So definitely like some white collarness just from the aspects as far as what's going to happen. Just kind of punch bowl and kind of gab pitches like that is kind of the format of this. Easy kind of mingle type moments within the aspect. It's kind of frivolous in the tone, but just like the aspect, like that particular tone of it. It's the sort of fare that if Jay-Z would have done like an album like the American Gangster album, but just a little bit more lighthearted and a little bit more, not so much gospel-like, but just a little bit more in touch with not so much gospel-like, but just a little bit more serendipitous pitches like that. I probably would have said this would have been like the format of some of these type ones, but just a lot of just kind of like, there's just some certain kind of becomingness to this amongst the aspects as far as what's going to happen. Just more amidst like the tone. It's just a certain amount. It's just a certain kind of composition about some of these particular type songs, just within the more spirit type. Just within a more spirited and kind of serendipitous type fashion within the pitch. So it's just kind of forming just more religious type tones. Just kind of NF, but not as full bound within the heaviness of that particular fare. Just kind of within the range of something NF, very similar within the fashion, just within the fashion behind it. Good type tones. But I look after it. Hallelujah is another nice one. This has some real good sing-songy vocals at the beginning. The song's really some affable type pitch, very melodic and affable within the pitch. But I look after it. It's like a balmy kind of party time enjoyment to kind of get here. Starry kind of pop rap connect as far as this first going to happen. This reminds like 2000s Kanye, particularly albums like College Dropout and in a certain sense like Graduation. Not so much Late Registration, but at least 1 and 3 of that trilogy by Kanye, Graduation and College Dropout, I'd say, within those pitches, but it's a pretty silky type one within those aspects. So definitely like the tone of that particular fare. Confess and Hallelujah are like a good 1-2 punch within some of that fares within the format of it, so it's just kind of more, it's really golden and balmy typeness within the aspects as far as this fair is going to happen. It has a particular kind of smarmy type feeling. It's a good portion. Like this album's pretty jubilant within aspects as far as this fair is going to happen. When I say when it has the dark type fashions, the lyrics, the way that they convey this, but the production fair is just a lot more jubilant and just kind of more embalming within the fashion as far as it's more embalming and engulfing as far as the fashion as to how it happens. It's very much the swarm of it as far as those fairs would kind of go, but it's just the pitch. When you pay attention to the lyrics, it's actually darker type content just within the fair as far as saying this. It's not as much within the upkeep as far as the fairs would kind of happen. So it's just a good pitch the way that that kind of happens. It's like a dichotomy kind of getting it. So it's a good type tone, but I look after it. So yeah, this album gets a 9.25 out of 10. The Soja score I'd probably say within tone as far as saying I'd probably give the Soja score. I like the affability behind this album. It has some pretty good connect on here. It's pretty affable within the sense. I'd probably say I'll give the Soja score like a 9.5 out out of 10. I look within the tone. A lot of these songs are pretty good within the faction. I think there's only a few minor natches about this project. I feel like it is. I do like the theme of life and death about this album as far as what's first going to happen. Just the fact that it carried that particular aspect and wasn't shy about those particular tones as far as talking about things that are just more within a serious type fashion, more so than just like the normal frivolity or just down to earth type fashions that usual type fare would kind of have. Is one that's kind of like when you think of folks like The Weeknd and folks like that kind of have like particular just more kind of eloquent type airs about them as far as what's pitch can happen. It's just kind of aspect as far as saying there's a certain kind of loftiness that has a certain this album has a certain degree of loftiness that has some good connect about it as far as what's going to happen. But it's just within the pitch as far as saying the only fair about it is just the fact that it is minorly healthier within the aspect. Like I think the fair within this character dines within the fashion, not so much of him trying to change his ways within some of those particular type movie type fashions, but just within the pitch as far as saying it just has a little bit more of like upkeep about it that is presented within a minor type sense on here. It's not to say it's full balance within the pitch. I mean the reality of it is you do get the explicit content on here. You do get the explicit content on here. You do get the explicit content on here. You do get the twerk songs and the smoke songs pitches like that. But it's just within the format as far as saying it just has the format of just having some degree of presentability. So it's just the tone as far as saying it's just the aspect. I'd say within the tone, it's just a pop rap album within the pitch. It's just something within the format, realizing that it's kind of within the fashion of just picking, like realizing that you're going to have some of these banner type moments for like the late 2010s as far as what's going to happen. It's just within the pitch as far as saying what direction it would kind of go in. It's notable and it was handled well. So I look at the aspect, definitely had some notable type appeal and was handled pretty excellently. So I look at the pitch as far as saying just the tone as far as getting towards it. But the only thing I would say just from the aspect as far as saying is just the tone that these songs are just more, it's just, it has more pop rap type appeal more so than the full bound aspect as far as saying getting towards like the concept of like full bound terror. I mean, some of these type moments are on here, but it's just the pitch as far as realizing if you're looking for something vicious, something that's really going to have you shit faced out of your mind, getting completely tore up and shredded, some of those type moments, it's just more of like a banner kind of just get you through. And on top of that, the serendipity about this project, it's not like it's bad, but it's just the pitch as far as saying it's a different type tone. If you're just more down to earth within fashion, it's just more of like a shell shock to kind of get within these aspects as far as something that's a little bit ethereal within the format as to how it happens. So it's just kind of the format as far as saying it's just something to take in within those fairs. It's kind of the expression behind it. It's just not like if you're going from listening to like more down to earth type fare and just more within the fashion like straightforwardness, this kind of aspect. It has a little bit of loftiness that just may have a certain degree of a learning curve. It's just an aspect, but it is commercial, it is pop rap, so type pitch just has a good format amongst those tones, so it's good type fare. So I'd say 9.5 social. But in terms of the future, like Logic is getting ready to put out a project, and he did recently put out a project with Juicy J, like I was saying, dropped in June of 2025, so some excellent type appeals with some of that type fare. He dropped an album, solo album of his own back in August of 2024, so within pitches like that, he's working on some new stuff. He has a movie coming, some of stuff there, so I'm going to get to some more Logic pitches like that, probably like his 2018 album, which I think was like Young Sinatra 4 or something like that. I'm going to get to some of those type ones within pitch. This is like pretty damn close to being a classic, definitely pretty banner late 2010 staple pitches like that, so it has a lot going for it, just some good affluences here.